So with Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, and Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commission President, set to talk tomorrow on Saturday, there was some speculation that this could be a positive sign of a deal between the UK and the EU being done. However, we've just had the statements out from the UK's Lord Frost and the EU's Michel Barnier, which slightly contradict that. As ever, guys, please start off by clicking subscribe and the bell to make sure you don't miss future reports. And if you enjoy this report, please click the thumbs up. So Lord Frost, with his statement, basically highlighting again, guys, what we've talked about time and time again, that on the area of the so-called level playing field, particularly in areas like state aid, the EU still insisting that the UK signs up to EU rules and restrictions on that. And the area of fisheries, and of course we'd heard some speculation, a couple of reports saying that the UK has offered the EU a 3-year transition which would wind down the entitlements of European fishing fleets all the way down to 2024, which, you know, bearing in mind we voted to leave in 2016 is a hell of a long time, and I know lots of you very unhappy about that. Of course, by the way, guys, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. Do enjoy reading them, but I'm just going to lay out to you what Lord Frost has said in his statement. As I said, he does mention state aid and fisheries. Lord Frost saying today that we have just completed the 9th round of our negotiations with the EU about our future relationship. These were, he says, constructive discussions conducted in good spirit. In many areas of our talks, although differences remain, the outlines of an agreement are visible, Lord Frost says. This is true of most of the core areas of a trade and economic agreement, notably trade in goods and services, transport, energy, social security, and participation in EU programmes. This has, however, been true for some time. Lord Frost says he's also encouraged that progress has been made on a law enforcement agreement and that there has been convergence on the structure of the overall partnership. However, Lord Frost does say that in other areas, familiar differences, as he describes them, familiar differences remain. On the level playing field, the so-called level playing field, including subsidy policy, i.e. state aid, we continue to seek an agreement that ensures our ability to set our own laws in the UK without constraints that go beyond those appropriate to a free trade agreement. There's been some limited progress here, but the EU need to move further before an understanding can be reached. So Lord Frost calling, in terms of state aid and the level playing field, the EU simply have to move position. They clearly haven't given up on the idea of signing the UK up to EU restrictions moving forward. And as you know, guys, those of you that watch previous reports where I've spoken about this, it would be ludicrous, would it not, if you had a future Labour or Conservative or whatever party standing at a general election with a manifesto and policy areas, policy still not being possible because we've signed up to EU rules and restrictions in those areas. That would be absolutely ludicrous, would it not? And Lord Frost goes on to say, on fisheries, the gap between us is unfortunately very large, and without further realism and flexibility from the EU, risks being impossible to bridge. These issues, he says, are fundamental to our future status as an independent country. I'm concerned that there is very little time now, he says, to resolve these issues ahead of the European Council on the 15th of October. For our part, we continue to be fully committed to working hard to find solutions if they are there to be found. Now, I find particularly the comment on fisheries interesting, the gap being very large. Now, as I touched on earlier, we have heard reports that there could have been a UK offer to the EU, Nigel Farage, one of those who spoke out against it, that would actually mean that there was a future transition period on fisheries extended all the way from 2021 to 2024. I guess the question is here, with Lord Frost saying there's still a very large gap, was that offered, and is that still not good enough for the EU, or was that a false, inaccurate report, and in actual fact that hasn't been offered? That'll be interesting to find out, which I'm sure we will soon, one way or another. Now, of course, Michel Barnier, he also put out a statement, Barnier saying that, Barnier's statement also touching on the areas of the so-called level playing field and state aid and fisheries. Barnier saying solid long-term guarantees of open and fair competition. Our new economic partnership must be underpinned by clear rules. I mean, guys, I do highlight this. What are the EU so scared of? Why do they want the UK signed up to rules when supposedly we don't get competitive advantage from Brexit? I thought it was all downsides according to them, and yet time and time again they are obsessed with trying to get the UK to sign up to rules that we don't have a competitive advantage. It's very, very telling, isn't it, that we see this time and time again. It's obviously a clear top priority for the EU. Barnier went on to say today that these rules must be operational and credible. That requires effective enforcement mechanisms, in particular on, yes, you guessed it, state aid and a commitment towards non-regression from social, fiscal, environmental and climate standards. This is possible while fully respecting, he says, the regulatory autonomy and sovereignty of both parties. Now, Michel Barnier also going on to touch on fisheries, saying a stable, sustainable and long-term agreement on fisheries, enabling the United Kingdom to further develop its fishing opportunities. Yeah, I bet that's exactly what the EU want. While ensuring the sustainable use of resources and protecting the activities of European fishermen and women. So I do think it's somewhat telling there that in the statements put out today by both the UK's Lord Frost and the EU's Michel Barnier, you've got them both there talking about these areas of state aid and signing up to the so-called level playing field and on fisheries, and the EU essentially wanting to keep things as close as possible to the status quo. In actual fact, we need to see a radical change. We need to see a massive boost for the British fishing industry. Opportunity taken for coastal communities for a major boost there. But clearly, as I say, that seems to be the area of fisheries, according to Lord Frost as well, seems to be the big gap now between the UK and the EU, as well as the so-called level playing field and the EU's attempt to get the UK to sign up to rules. One of the instant reactions we've had today, Martin Daubeny, my old mucker, former Brexit Party MEP, he's encouraged by this statement from Lord Frost, highlighting it as superb Brexit news, highlighting the quote, on fisheries, the gap between us is very large, and without further realism and flexibility from the EU, risks being impossible to bridge. So that's one response, guys, straight away. As I said, at time of recording, these have just gone out. Let me know what you think about Lord Frost's statement and what you think of Michel Barnier's stance from the EU. Of course, I highlighted earlier Prime Minister Boris Johnson, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen talking tomorrow. It looks to me like talk of a deal being done might be slightly premature. Certainly still, it's very clear that on these areas of the level playing field and fisheries, gaps remain, particularly it seems on fisheries. So there's a couple of possibilities here. The UK government could cave in. Of course, we don't want that to happen. That would be a complete betrayal. The EU could come to their senses and do a sensible free trade deal without trying to lump in a load of unfavourable restrictions on the UK, or we go to no deal and we have a clean break completely. What do you think is going to happen, guys? What would you like to see happen? And of course, if you've enjoyed this report, if you found it helpful and informative, please remember to click that thumbs up button, click subscribe and the bell. There's going to be a lot more going on. I'm going to report it all here on the West Monster channel, so make sure that you're subscribed and hit that bell so you don't miss future reports. And of course, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.